to Menopause Morph, your time to change. We're here to help you thrive through your menopause, bringing you experts in many fields to help you from perimenopause to menopause and beyond to become the strong, vibrant woman nature intended you to be. Hosted by Pauline McCarthy of the Pearls of Pauline, pearls of wisdom, compassion, and joy.
Hello, welcome to this week's Menopause Morph. Today we have a lovely lady from New Zealand. Her name is Kathryn Price. Kathryn is the founder of Empowered Menopause, a coaching practice to help women through their menopause. She lives in New Zealand, runs a copywriting business from home, and previously spent 30 years in the corporate sector in administration management, executive support, training and copywriting. As someone who likes to understand why things are the way they are, she spent a lot of time researching the various perimenopausal symptoms she had and solutions to them. So, Kathryn, welcome to Menopause Morph.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. It's great to be here.
So, Kathryn, you run a copywriting business, and from copywriting to menopause, it's quite a big jump, even though I know you do both at the same time. So could you tell us a bit about the transition from copywriting to menopause?
So my background's in corporate many years, and I left that 3 years ago. Started a copywriting business, but I've always had an interest in personal development for many years. About 15 years ago, I did some counsellor training and also ran some workshops, goal-setting workshops, dream board workshops, that sort of thing. So that's always been in the background. And the more I learned about my own menopausal symptoms, the more I kind of realised that I wanted to help other people with really what I discovered for myself so that I could share that.
Okay. And it's really quite interesting what you said about starting a business. And how old were you when you started your own copywriting business, if you don't mind me asking?
I was 48.
48, yeah. Because one of the things that we're trying to inspire women to do through Menopause Morph is to do the thing that they love, not to be stuck in a corporate job or a job that they've been in all their life just to pay the bills, or something that their parents sort of guided them into, but they've never really loved it. Because now that our menopause, or now that our hormones are changing and we're beginning to realize, like, wait a minute, I have a life to live here. It's like, so like myself, I started a souvenir candy business 4 years ago now. So I would have been 51. So it's really, you hear so many women starting their own business during their perimenopause and menopause years. So I'm really excited to hear that from you as well. So yeah, Empowered Menopause. So can you tell us about why you started that?
Well, it was really, I guess I've learned so much over the last 3 to 4 years, I guess, about, and in particular over the last, 18 months, about perimenopause and menopause. I've spent hours and hours and hours researching, and I guess there was so much I didn't know. And I've joined a few Facebook groups and discovered that there were lots of other people out there that didn't know those things as well. So I thought, well, this is just a small portion of women that are out there. So there's got to be a whole lot more who could be empowered by just having a bit more knowledge about what was actually going on in their body, rather than perhaps just going to a doctor and being prescribed a pill and not really understanding what was going on, or what other options there were. Yeah. So from that, I thought, having the personal development interest, and I trained as a life coach about 2.5 years ago. I did some life coach training. So at that time I thought, well, I'd start a menopause, just a little side coaching business, and I've got a Facebook page and a group, and, it's only very small at this stage, but it's nice to be able to help people.
It is, that's true. And you were mentioning to me before we started that you had perimenopausal symptoms for 14 years. So what was it that actually made you start to realise that maybe this has got something to do with perimenopause?
Yeah, it actually wasn't until probably about 2 years ago, or even less actually, that I realised that I had them for that long. It was with all that research that I did that I sort of started to, as the more I read, the more I sort of in my mind looked back in my own history and realised that it was at the age of 37 when my cycle started to change. That's when it all really started for me. So I was 37. I'm now almost 52. So it's been all those years. So I had no idea that lots of the things that had happened were related.
Yeah. A lot of women, they don't realise that perimenopausal symptoms start in their 30s.
Yes.
It's quite a shock.
Exactly. It is quite a shock. And I look back and, a number of things that happened during that time that I can, definitely attribute to perimenopause. So I wasn't going crazy after all,
No.
although I thought I was. Yeah.
And what were some of those symptoms that you experienced?
So as I said, firstly, my cycle, my periods became irregular, started gaining weight, went on to have, when I look back, bouts of incredible, overly emotional times, irritability, depression, times of sort of what I now know to be crashing fatigue, when I just couldn't do anything. I had anemia for a while, due to having extenuated periods that sort of went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. Yeah, so lots and lots of things that I experienced, yeah. And I kind of last year, I think early about this time last year, I came across the list of the 66 perimenopausal symptoms. And as I read through it, I was astounded at how many I could tick. Symptoms that I'd either had for a few days or a few weeks or a few months or longer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so really surprising.
And how did you cope with your symptoms?
Not well at times, particularly before I had the understanding of what was going on. There were some times where they really affected my day-to-day living, my work. But the more I learnt and the more I read, then I was able to sort of, find some strategies that actually worked for me.
Okay, so could you tell us a bit about those strategies that worked for you?
So one of the biggest things I think for me was to start it all off was the research, just really understanding what was going on. That really helped me to realise that, as I said previously, I wasn't going crazy. I wasn't the only person experiencing this, and that it was actually a normal part of what was going on. So the research was key. Another thing that was really major was exercise. That makes a massive difference. There have been times when I've sort of exercised more than others, and I notice when I'm doing regular exercise, a whole lot of symptoms seem to settle down. Meditation works. Now, I'm not always religious in these things, unfortunately. I wish I was, but I try to do it as much as I can. Meditation, doing that each morning, even for 10 minutes when I wake up, makes a huge difference, massive difference. The other thing I was doing a lot of was yoga, and I've just recently got back into that. That's making a big difference. For anxiety, I find I use magnesium, so I take that every night and every morning. And I also use the nostril breathing technique. Now, there is a name for it in the world of yoga, and I can't think of it right now, of course. But that's breathing in through one nostril and visualising that breath sort of going up into your headspace and then breathing out the other nostril and then doing alternate. So during times of anxiety, for example, in the middle of the night when I'd wake up with my heart racing and I'd be by myself and I'd sort of get into a state where I thought, there was something major going on with my health or my heart, just doing that was, really useful to calm me down enough to be able to get back to sleep. And the other thing that really, really helped massively was self-talk. So once I'd done the research and got the understanding of what was actually going on, I devised a little mantra for myself, and that was that I would say to myself, it's only menopause. So when I had a crazy symptom, if I was out doing the grocery shopping and I felt all dizzy and, maybe was overcome with a hot flush and got really sweaty and felt quite anxious about that because I was dizzy and wobbly on my feet for a few seconds, I would say to myself, it's only menopause. And doing that as often as I could, I've now got into the habit of that. So even now when I have a symptom that I feel really uncomfortable about, I just say that to myself. And that's been a huge, huge help. Yeah, so those are some of the things that have helped.
And were there any strategies that you were learning that didn't work for you?
What didn't work for me? Not strategies as such, but I did at one point, I got so fed up and I went to my GP and I said, look, I want to try HRT. Got the prescription, went home, reread the pamphlet and thought, no, I'm not going there. My mother had 2 strokes as a result of having cancer and she passed away at the age of 47. And I guess just reading that pamphlet saying, this can happen, strokes can be something that causes, I chose not to take it. So I guess not that it didn't work for me, but it didn't fit with what I wanted to do. And I guess I've always been someone who prefers not to take drugs unless I really, really have to. That's kind of always been my philosophy.
I'm very happy to hear that you read the instructions. It's amazing the amount of people who never read the side effects or the instructions on a medicine packet, because you can't make an informed decision unless you read this information yourself, really.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's one of the things that sort of got me to start the empowered menopause, was that it's just about, I guess, letting people know that, you don't have to take as gospel, what your doctor says. Yes, they're very intelligent people with a lot of great information and that can be really useful for us, of course, but, do your own research and just learn about things so that you can go with your own gut feeling about what you want to do rather than what everybody else does, perhaps.
And when was the last, menopause is like 12 months since your last menses, and so you have gone through this stage, yes?
I have just gone 13 months without a period. So at the end of January, it was celebration time. And interestingly, in the last couple of months, my symptoms have started to dissipate quite considerably. I'm really fortunate. The same thing happened for my sisters. I have 4 sisters. So I guess I'm really fortunate that that's the way it is for me. I'm still definitely getting symptoms, but nowhere near like I was or to the extremes that I was. Unfortunately, now in the last few months, I'm in the process of being diagnosed with arthritis on my left hip. But again, just sort of thinking that very well could be just menopausal related. 2 of my sisters had the same thing. So I'm having an MRI for that next week and going through that process, but I'm doing my own research about that at the moment to find out, and just started taking a fish oil product to try and help with that. And not keen on the steroid injections that the specialist has lined up for me once the MRI is done. So I probably won't be going down that track unless I really, really have to. Mm-hmm. Hoping I can manage that another way.
Just now I'm going for therapy, physiotherapy, because of my hip, and it's shortwave therapy. And
okay.
It's some kind of machine, and I'm always saying to her, "Oh, you're frying me like microwaves," and she says, "No, it's shortwave, not microwaves." But it's like a machine, and you don't feel any heat from it, but it's like some big pads, and she puts it on one on my back and one on my hip, and I've been going now for 2 weeks, and it's really helped, because for the last year I've been having a difficulty sleeping because my hip has been so painful at night, and
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll definitely look that up. That sounds...
Ask her about a shortwave therapy.
Yes, I will. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, anything that is going to help. Like you, I've been the last, I guess, 2 or 3 months, in a lot of pain with the hip and, tossing and turning, not being able to get comfortable, and, of course, waking a lot. And that, that just, you end up getting very fatigued because you're never getting a good night's sleep. Mm-hmm. And that followed on from the lack of sleep due to waking up with heart palpitations and night sweats, and so just feels like it goes on and on forever, but it doesn't, because I know my other symptoms are dissipating. So I guess a message to people out there, it's like it does change eventually. It does get easier.
So for women that are going through their perimenopause just now, could you give us 3 things that you would recommend that they do?
I think do your own research. I spent an awful lot of time doing that, but I highly recommend it. Just get online and Google whatever you can to do with perimenopause, menopause, hormones, and just read up on what's out there. I do have some links to some articles on my empoweredmenopause.co.nz website. So there's some good links there, some good articles, but there's a lot of great stuff online. So definitely do your research. I think check in with yourself and try and get really in tune with your own intuition so that you can know what's right for you. I think we all have that, but our busy lives often take us away from being able to connect with ourselves. So take that time to connect with yourself and just see if you can adopt some practices that will help you. Maybe meditation, maybe walking, maybe the nostril breathing, like I explained before, the self-talk, those things that just might help you through. Yeah.
And I think a lot of women feel that they have to go through it themselves. I think it's support, talk to your friends that are the same age. I think, they have this expression like a burden shared is a burden halved. Isn't it? So if two ladies help each other through it, then that's a burden halved.
Yes, definitely. The other thing that I think that helped me a lot was the Facebook groups that I'm in. That's what I found was late at night, if I was home by myself and I was awake in the night, sometimes I would get on those groups and there were always people there I could chat with, or there were always posts there that I could read through about a particular topic or, what I was experiencing, just to actually, as you say, know that I'm not alone in this. Mm-hmm. And definitely talking to friends and other women, both online and in real life, of course,
I suppose the great thing about Facebook is that in these groups there are people from all over the world, so it can be in the middle of the night your time, but it's the daytime in some other country.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So getting that support is really, really vital. I think it makes a big difference.
So what's your plans now? Where are you going to from now? Are you going to continue with menopausal things, or are you going to do your... What was it called? My menopausal memory loss thing.
Yes.
You do the copywriting thing, or do you have another project planned?
So I'm someone who I'm kind of into a few things. I've always been that way. I think looking back, I could possibly be diagnosed with ADHD.
Like me.
I'm not someone who sits at one particular thing for long and all my life, my family have said to me, maybe you'll find the one thing and do that, but I look back now and it's just not me. I love doing lots of different things. And I've kind of okayed that with myself now. It's like I'm letting myself be who I am. So, I have my copywriting business, which I've been running for almost 3 years, which is, doing very well now. It's taken 3 years, but with how that and I can do that from anywhere, which is wonderful. All I need is my laptop and my cell phone for an internet connection. Then my empoweredmenopause.co.nz. I'm carrying on with that as a side thing, just so that I can help women that do find me and approach me with that. And I have another little hobby business that I've recently started, which is called Upcycled. And what I do is I upcycle giftware, homeware and furniture. So I've started painting like shabby chic vintage style photo frames and small pieces of furniture. Nice. And I sell that online here in New Zealand. So that's something creative that I love doing, and I can only use so many pieces myself. So I thought, I'll create a website and start selling some stuff. So I'm doing those 3 things at the moment. So I think that's probably enough right now.
So if some of our listeners would like to contact you, if they wanted coaching or just some general advice, where would they contact you? What's your email address?
So they can contact me. So they can go onto my website, which is empoweredmenopause.co.nz, and from there they can click through and email me or find my Facebook page or Facebook group. And I'd love to hear from anybody who who just wants to chat or wants some coaching. I do offer a 6-week coaching package, so I take people through a process that helps them to look at what's going on for them and to build some kind of balance in their life and to develop some strategies to help them get through their menopausal symptoms.
Okay, lovely. And are there any last words you would like to say to the listeners?
I guess I'd just like to say to people that, I know that it can be such a lonely feeling time, and it can be a worrying time with all the odd things that happen. I think for me, as I said earlier, one of the biggest things that helped was just saying to myself, it's only menopause. So when I get those awful symptoms, when I'm driving my car and I have a bit of a panic attack or, a dizzy spell or something, just reminding myself it's only menopause. If that's one thing that may help you, adopt that strategy and just know you're not alone, and reach out to somebody, and we will get through it.
We will.
We will. One thing I had somebody say to me, my mother-in-law said to me several times actually last year when I talked to her about it, because of course I don't have my own mother. She said, you'll get through it, she said, and once it's over, she said life is wonderful then. once it settles down. So I'm holding on to that as well.
This is it. We're all going to morph into beautiful butterflies and have a great time.
Yes, exactly.
And talking about that, some of our listeners will know we are holding our very first Menopause Morph retreat. And I'm titling it now, Fit Fabulous Menopause. And it's going to be from the 16th of April to the 21st of April, 2016 in Iceland. So if you're interested in that, just give me a shout at Pauline@menopausemorph.com. And it's on a website with my changeoflifesupport.net. All the information. Yeah, my memory's coming back. So Kathryn, thank you very much for being with us today. And I hope sometime I'll come out to New Zealand and visit you.
Yes, that would be wonderful. You're very welcome here
Okay.
anytime. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's great to speak to your listeners.
Okay, thank you. And just one last point, everyone, as we have to say every week, we are not giving out medical advice. If you want medical advice, please go and talk with your medical practitioner. Thank you. Bye. See you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Menopause Morph, your time to change. If you've enjoyed the program, be sure to subscribe to the next one and please leave a rating and review on iTunes to help us spread the message about thriving through the menopause. To get a free ebook, more menopausal resources, and to connect with Pauline, please visit www.menopausemorph.com.